the news in detail. The National Road Safety Authority has called on the media to help save lives on our roads. Now, by creating a platform for them to comprehensively educate the general public, especially drivers, on road safety measures when using the roads, and policymakers in terms of response to road crash. Now, speaking to Pan-African Television News after a news editors workshop on road safety in Accra, the director in charge of planning and programming at the National Road Safety Authority, David Osafo Adontin, further revealed that a new emergency number will be introduced soon for the reporting on incidents that may cause harm on our roads. There's more in the following.
I think that the solution, technically, is to dualize your road. We have spoken to government. We have met a couple of times, and government's already demonstrated its intent to dualize these roads to make them safer as we have proposed. Accra-Kumasi Highway, if you look at this year's budget, government has mentioned that it is going to turn it into an express road, which is very good for all of us. We're excited. The Accra-Aflao Road is also one of the roads that government is considering. I believe by now they have even awarded on contract, because that was a promise that was given to us. We also know that the portion up to I think Tema to Central University, there's a Central University somewhere there, it's already awarded on contract. So we have been meeting the Minister of Roads and Highways, who's been briefing us periodically of efforts by government to dualize this road. We are convinced it's a matter of time that it will be done. When that is done, then it will take up completely a certain higher proportion of the crashes on our road. We did a typical example at Nsawam, where we bypassed and dualized. We did it also at Nkoko. We bypassed and dualized. And you and I, over the past number of years, have not seen any recorded head-on collision on these stretches, which means that automatically, if we are able to dualize these major roads, these incidents of head-on collision will be a thing of the past. So I think that we should continue the advocacy. That is why it is important at this time that we engage the editors to help us set the agenda, like you did for COVID, like you did for Galamsey. The executives will be listening. They will know the need. So anytime they meet, safety will be one of the discussions. And I believe that the ministers responsible would now also be accountable to the people, telling government and people periodically the efforts that all of us are making. When the people speak, I think government hears, and government takes steps to satisfy the people. I think editors, we challenge you from today, now that we have engaged each other, to set the agenda for us. Give us the necessary spaces within your news items, within your flagship programs, so that we can come and speak to the conscience to change their mind, people's mindset, to behave well on the streets. That's number one. And also for policymakers and implementers to change their attitude and be very responsive to road safety problems. Quick responses, so that we don't wait until something happens before we rush in to deal with them. I think that's the challenge we give to the editors. Oh, this December, where we have already had all the technical, issues addressed. We are waiting for the telecoms now to integrate, because we're looking at all of them, a particular code number to take care of all the telcos. We have 194, so it means 191, 192, 193, 194. For the police, for ambulance, for the fire service. Now we are taking the 194. These are emergency numbers. So the new number coming on board is 194. I believe before Christmas, this number will be fully operationalized and then formalized for everybody. You just call us anytime, anywhere, report to us incidents that you envisage are risky or is risky to cause a crash, a death or injury. We are even trying to integrate it to have a certain app alongside with the 194, such a way that you can use your photo, smart photo, your phone, to take a photo or a video of an incident, and then you send to us. They set up the call center in such a way that it operates 24/7. People will be responding to issues as and when they come. This is one thing that we are challenging the general public to be part of the whole process. You don't sit on the fence. come in, bring information so that we can, based on the information, to move very quickly to deal with the incident before it becomes a crash.
Away from that, the Minister of Education, Dr. Yawosei Edichum, has attributed the performance of students in this year's West African Senior School Certificate Examination to the tireless effort as invaluable contribution of teachers. Now, he made that disclosure on the floor of Parliament following WAEC's release of provisional results.
Mr. Speaker, the answer is no.
Yes, the last one will come to Honorable Ahi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minister says that Ghanaian teachers are one of the resources in the world.
Resourceful.
Yes, resourceful in the world. Can you explain and give us some empirical evidence why you have come into that conclusion? What constitutes that resourcefulness?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think my honorable colleague wants to challenge me on the resourcefulness of the Ghanaian teacher. I know from their performance on the WASSCE and other examinations that they are the most resourceful. When you have 400 students obtaining 8 A1s in the West African sovereignty, you want to question the resourcefulness of the Ghanaian teacher? Ghanaian teacher is very resourceful.
Speaking in relation to when textbooks based on the new curriculum, standard-based curriculum will be supplied to basic schools in the country, the minister said the procurement process was ongoing.
For implementation of any new curriculum. What we did at the beginning, therefore, was to ensure that we have learner packages made available to teachers, which included learning activities, various lesson plans, so that teachers can administer and deliver instruction accordingly. And with the textbooks coming down the pike, is going to really also be a continuation where full lesson activities will be available to teachers to ensure effective implementation of around the clock to supply textbooks to our basic schools. The procurement processes are ongoing and at final quality assurance stage, which will lead to award of contracts. Once the procurement processes are over, suppliers will deliver the textbooks to regional and district education offices for onward distribution to schools. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who doubles as ECOWAS chair, has assured the ECOWAS region and the people of Ghana that he will not make any modifications to Ghana's electoral law ahead of the 2024 general elections. Speaking at the Kofi Annan Peace and Security Forum in Accra, he pledged not to be an impediment in the conduct of elections, but rather hand over power to whoever is elected as the next president of Ghana.
As the president of Ghana, the country touted as Africa's beacon of democracy, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has affirmed his commitment to protect Ghana's image of outstanding democracy on the continent. Speaking at the Kofi Annan Peace and Security Forum 2021 on the theme Democracy and Governance in the Context of Complex Crisis in West Africa, the president highlighted the smooth transitions of political power in the history of Ghana and pledges to do same at the end of his tenure of office.
Ghana is often touted as a beacon of democracy in Africa. Since 1992, it has won plaudits for her democratic credentials, which, though still fraught with challenges, seem to have been consolidated with the conduct of 8 elections, 5 presidential transitions, 3 of which resulted in the peaceful transfer of power from one political party to another. We want to be seen as a positive influence in other African countries who continue to face challenges with democratic consolidation. I'm indeed pleased to reaffirm before you my unshakable belief in the principles of democratic accountability, which constitute the basis of good governance in our member states. As President of the Republic of Ghana and current chair of the Authority of ECOWAS States and Governments, I pledge to continue to respect the tenets of the ECOWAS Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance, and specifically the following. I will not make or cause to be made any substantial modification to the electoral laws in the last 6 months before the next election. I will respect the 2-term limit for the exercise of presidential authority as stipulated in the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. I will not be an impediment to the conduct of free and fair, transparent elections. I'll hand over power to the next elected president on 7th January 2025. And I will rally my fellow ECOWAS heads of state to take the pledge and support them as they continue to work towards democracy and good governance in their respective countries.
The second edition of the Kofi Annan Peace and Security Forum is aimed at finding lasting solutions to the perennial democratic and governance glitches on the African continent.
Meanwhile, the special representative of the Secretary General to the AU and head of UN Office to AU, Honorable Hannah Sewa Tete, has said that AU, ECOWAS and other peace and security institutions must put in more effort in order to achieve the peaceful African continent we hope for as a people. Speaking at the second edition of the Kofi Annan Peace and Security Forum in Accra, she said the continent has solutions to its problem.
Allow me to thank the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center for inviting me to address this forum and to offer this message of goodwill, while together we reflect on our shared global and regional challenges and opportunities. The gathering today is a testimonial of the great work the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center is doing in supporting global collective efforts in preventing conflict and promoting peace as a catalyst for social political stability and development. And I'm sure that this forum and similar ones will help us in articulating ideas and developing new strategies that will inform effective interventions that would aim to maximize ECOWAS, AU, and UN existing frameworks, protocols, and instruments to enhance good governance, advance human rights, and support women and youth participation in decision-making and development. At a minimum, present trends in global governance, deficits, and cyclical regional conflict and instability present a twofold challenge and also an opportunity. Across our continent, we see political norms and political transitions challenged, in addition to emerging coups and the continued threats of terrorism and intercommunal crisis. Here within our sub-region in Mali and in the Sahel, we see that the UN, the African Union, the regional economic communities, particularly ECOWAS, are witnessing a situation where even some of our own citizens are, as it were, questioning the relevance of our institutions. Our norms and values are being tested, and it means that we have to do more than we've done previously in order to ensure that we make a change happen. At the recent AU-UN annual conference last week, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, and Moussa Faki Mahamat, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, both expressed concern over the multiple recent unconstitutional changes of government and the deterioration of human rights in some parts of the continent. We believe that our continent holds the solutions to its problems, and our regional and continental ambitions, as enshrined in the United Nations Agenda 2030 and the AU Agenda 2063, should remain our resolute focus. Our shared goal of peace and security are represented by the crucial work of ECOWAS, but now more than ever, we are required to ensure that our institutions are able to work together within the spirit of complementarity and subsidiarity to make sure that we can do more than we have previously done in order to stem what we see as the backsliding of democracy in some parts of our continent. We have a collective resolve to silence the guns, but unfortunately we can't just use that slogan as an attempt to suggest that we have found the solution to bringing peace to our continent. We need to do more than that. And we need to show the rest of the world that it is more than just a slogan. That when we say we want to silence the guns, we actually do the necessary things to silence the guns. We must ensure that policies, programs, initiatives, but more importantly, government actions and the actions of other political stakeholders discourage unconstitutional changes of government and enhance peace and development through the application and implementation of the relevant policy instruments, including the ECOWAS Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance, the AU Governance Architecture, as well as the AU Post-Conflict Reconstruction and Development Framework. Building inclusive societies is the pathway to peace, security, and development. And therefore, it's important to remember that, because our politics sometimes tends to be a winner-takes-all situation. Regarding governance deficits fueling conflict patterns, we need to turn this into an opportunity for strengthening governance institutions, even when it means that political and public service leadership and other political stakeholders are held to account and required to comply with the rule of law, international and national obligations to set the example for society as a whole, and by so doing, giving meaning to the quest for strengthening good governance initiatives.
We return with more stories after this breather.
Hello?
Oh, she said that sound.
Okay, wait a minute. Why? My wife comes and send a message. You have to speak on my Hello? What's happened?
It's a chunk who's will be a quiet say what? A dear sir.
My side friend, I'm so young. You have not tested messages here. And the officer, so I'm trying to tell you, man. She says, I
mean, so we a guy manu, and may young who could look cry. And also wants a family drilling company limited for Kana.
What's it then? Family Drilling Company Limited.
Ye two borehole, biofuel, biogas, swimming pool, plumbing works in Naso, ye be, Frey 0240 333 111 and NASA 0244 144 822.
Miampa and you want swimming pool on me fee. Me want to will be here. Family drilling now. Family drilling.
What fashion yala shit?
Me out with that shit.
Especially, yeah, 40 years and above, no, a fire prostate, a home, over to many prostate enlargement, and after prostatitis. So, acquire Sabia, ne catch us with PSA level, echo higher. Kind of who said, prostate, no, and who ya touch him. So, who said, what chim and son of Wajonso, who Jonson and more pie, and I say, a duana girl, what I Jonson, and a kind of who said, when your prostate disorder. So to me DDA and I say what it in wapom and I say when your daily supplement here a bit to me aboa ama prostate no ejina na nice somebody man church way a natural link company one day ProSlav capsules a eboa mberima prostate 2-man and a dinner capsules eboa emba e feature call over to me afro mo.
It's incredible! Bang on target!
Thank you for choosing to stay with us. This is Pan African News from our studios here, 48 Swanika Street, Abelimpia, Accra, Ghana, with me, Ivy Abnadide Nakita. Let me remind you that we are live on Facebook at Pan African Television, and still on our local front. Greater Accra Regional Commander of the Ghana National Fire Service, ACFO 1 Alhaji Nuhu Jibril, has sensitized the public on measures to adapt in ensuring fire safety. Now, his comment comes ahead of the festive season and the likelihood of Harmattan, which could possibly occur next year.
Ghana National Fire Service is mandated to prevent and manage undesired fires, and that is exactly what we are doing in the Greater Accra region. We always want to make sure that fires do not occur at all. All over the world, everybody is moving from firefighting approach to fire prevention, and so we are also moving toward the same dimension. So we keep on educating the public, creating more awareness to the public so that they will adhere to the fire safety measures that Ghana National Fire Service have been recommended, have been preaching. That means if you embark on best fire safety practices in our homes, our offices, in our farms, wherever we go, we will not record fire outbreaks, and that life and property will be safe, and the social well-being of society will be okay, or the well-being of society will be okay. And as we keep on educating the public, when we get to Christmas and the Harmattan season, we intensify our education to the public so that people will know the do's and don'ts. We remind them. When I say do's and don'ts of fire, what I'm trying to say is that through attitudinal behavior, people start undesired fires. And so when we educate the public for them to know that some aspect of their attitude start the fire outbreak, they will avoid doing that, and that will not record fire outbreaks in the region.
He also urged officers and men in the service to respond promptly to fire outbreak whenever they are called upon.
I was only saying that as we respond quickly, we should continue to respond promptly, and even how do we call it, better our response time. You know, we always want to improve on our services. I hope you understand. And so I was only saying that we should do more training so that we will continue to improve on our response.
Has that been a challenge to you?
No. The challenge, if there will be a challenge of response, then maybe traffic. Sometimes the traffic is so intense that it delays and sometimes the road. If the road is also no good, it's also another challenge. And if the traffic is too intense, it's also another challenge. And sometimes maybe if the address system is not clear, when they give you an address to a place and you cannot locate the place, it may be a wrong address. You may have to call and then confirm the address back. Apart from that, except maybe there's a technical challenge or mechanical challenge with maybe the plan. Apart from that, everything has been fine.
Director of Research and ICT at the Ghana National Fire Service, who graced the event, charged them to live up responsibly to their duties and acknowledge the good leadership exhibited by their Abelinkwe District Commander, DO1 Benjamin Kwashi.
Abelinkwe Fire Station has been one station that turn out these events when it comes to festive times. And this is about my fourth or third time being part of this program. And once it is an annual event, they keep improving year after year. And it's so heartwarming to be part of this program. And I, as you could see, the morale was to put up buildings and to buy cars. Yes, and much as we want to accommodate ourselves in our own homes, we must also be mindful of the safety measures that we need to put in place. For instance, hiring of substandard contractors to wire our homes for us.
As part of efforts to address challenges faced by coffee farmers in some specific coffee growing regions in Ghana, the Coffee Federation of Ghana, in partnership with other organizations, have begun the training of over 900 coffee farmers in 6 coffee growing regions across Ghana.
According to the release, out of the 34 cases detected, 75% of the people were unvaccinated. Over the past 2 weeks, cases from the airport account for about 60% of the total cases recorded in the country. The directives to be implemented required all persons 18 and above arriving in Ghana to provide evidence of full vaccination for a COVID-19 vaccine. All unvaccinated Ghanaians and residents of Ghana who are currently outside the country and intend to return within 14 days from the midnight of 12 December 2021 are exempted. However, they would be vaccinated at the airport. The COVID-19 vaccines approved and registered by the Food and Drugs Authority include Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna and Sputnik V. Other arrival equipment include the 72-hour negative PCR test requirement prior to travel, completion of a health declaration form, and all persons who arrive in Ghana will undergo antigen tests.
Coming up next is business news. Now let's do some business. Executive Secretary at Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amoah, has said deregulation of petroleum has rather increased the prices of fuel. Now, in an interaction with the media, he said that deregulation has brought about hardships in the lives of Ghanaians, particularly fuel consumers.
Mr. Duncan Amoah explained that during former President Kufuor's era, crude prices somewhere in 2007 did hit the roof, 120, 140, but consumers were not asked to pay 6 Ghana cedi plus for petrol. He added that the taxes during former president's time were also reasonable. According to Mr. Amoah, a lot of consideration did not go into the deregulation exercise, adding that the government just took its hands off the final pricing at the pumps. He said the deregulation exercise was just rolled out because government was tired and was choking on the legacy debt, so the most immediate solution was to leave all the marketing companies. This means once you bring your product, you set your own prices. If you make losses, you don't blame it on government. He said government, there's the former finance minister, Seth Terkper, and current finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, used the back loop in its dealings. He also stated that they have simply grown taxes on fuel. Duncan Amoah said forex will continue to be a problem so far as fuel importation is not managed in the country. He further explained that importers will need around 400 million every single month to bring in petroleum products, and it will be in dollar equivalent. This means that if they are converting all such of amount to dollar every single month, the cedi will not survive, but rather depreciate, and when it does, a forex rate has to be done and added to the pump prices.
Still in the world of business, the president of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Aka Nyamike Jr. has allayed fears concerning outbreak of the Omicron variant of COVID-19, which has ravaged most parts of the world. Speaking on Pan-African News, he also admonished Ghanaians to undergo vaccination and charged clients who will visit hotels during the festive seasons to strictly abide to the safety protocols.
The fatal coronavirus pandemic, which ravaged Ghana on March 12, 2020, has wreaked severe havoc in every part of the country. On November 26, 2021, World Health Organization designated the variant B1.1.529 a variant of concern named Omicron on the advice of World Health Organization's Technical Advisory Group on Virus Evolution. In a bid to prevent a fourth wave of COVID-19 in Ghana, the government has declared December as a month of vaccination. The exercise will be targeted at specific groups in venues including nightclubs, beaches, and restaurants. Persons who intend to visit beaches, restaurants, sports stadium will thus not be allowed entry if not vaccinated. The director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaji, disclosed this at a press conference on November 28, 2021. In consonance with this, Pan-African News Daniel Kwabna Asare interacted with the president of Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Aka Nyamike Jr., on measures his outfit has rolled out to mitigate the spread of the pandemic as Christmas draws near. According to him, the hospitality industry should ensure strict conformity to safety protocols.
We don't need to worry too much about this Omicron variant as far as the COVID-19 pandemic is concerned. And I say so relative to our Ghanaian environment, because if you go back to March 2020 when the virus was detected here, from that time till now you may have realized that the government and indeed the whole state, all of us, have managed the pandemic quite well compared to other countries. We need to do, and this is what the hotels are doing, we are continuing to observe the protocols. If you go to any hotel, you are expected to go through the temperature checks, expected to go through the hand sanitizer regime, you are expected to have your nose mask on. And let me use this opportunity to even tell patrons and clients and customers who go to hotels, this whole pandemic is a collective responsibility for all of us to control it. So if anybody comes, or if you go to a hotel and they are not observing it, you have every right to raise issues with the hotel. And for me, that's a way to get all of us to be on our guard. The other aspect of it is the vaccine or the vaccination. I'm sure you are aware that the Ghana Health Service has declared the month of December as the vaccination month, and that is to get a lot of people to be vaccinated based on a simple principle that the more people are vaccinated, the less the virus or the pandemic will be a challenge. So we are hoping that a lot of people will go beyond the myth, will go beyond some of the funny rumors that are being peddled concerning vaccination, and actually get vaccinated so that we'll be able to deal with this pandemic. I understand and I have heard that the health service also wants to limit admittance to various events or places with the use of the COVID-19 vaccination card. I mean, if you are entering a place, you need to show your card. Well, in principle, we don't have a problem with that, except that we expect that the vaccination campaign will go on so well in this December, so that a lot of people will be vaccinated. And then when we are demanding the card for entry to our facilities or events or places, then there will be a logical justification for that.
Coming up is international. On an international front, the biggest strike in U.S. continues at the prestigious Columbia University, where over 3,000 graduate student workers have entered their 6th week on strike. On Thursday, December 2, the university sent an email out to the workers, which essentially threatened to permanently replace them if they don't go back to work by December 10.
The Graduate Workers Union, a local of the United Auto Workers, has filed 2 unfair labor practice charges with the National Labor Relations Board. If the board rules in their favor, it would classify the strike as an unfair labor practice strike and make the university's threat to permanently replace them illegal. The university is arguing that the strike is an economic one and that the unfair labor practice charges lack merit. There is no timeline for when the National Labor Relations Board will decide on the charges. With the semester coming to an end in just a couple of weeks, the stakes are sky high. Firing student workers taking part in the action risk being deported because their work visas bar them from working anywhere else. Every striker is bearing the weight of forfeiting their pay. Thousands of undergraduate students are missing out on classes. With tuition costing $60,000 a year, it's only a matter of time before upset students and their families begin to apply pressure on the university to get things back to business. Grant Minor, a Doctor of Philosophy student in English and Comparative Studies department, told Monica Cruz, quote, "The university just hasn't taken us seriously," and quote, he called the threat to fire workers a strike-breaking and scare tactic. He said of the university's administration, quote, "They email lies to the undergraduates, saying that not all of us are striking, and that the union leadership is running away from radicalism, and that is not true. And we can tell by the numbers out here that the people are demanding things in solidarity together," unquote. The Graduate Student Worker Union organized a large protest on Wednesday, December 8th, and shuts down 2 main entrances of the university's Manhattan campus. Dozens of community members and workers from a host of different unions joined them in solidarity. Nina Crawford, a long-time Harlem resident and public housing tenant organizer, has joined the workers at the picket lines for 3 weeks in a row. She pointed out the connections between this labor struggle and the fight to stop the university's huge role in gentrifying her neighborhood. She told Monica Cruz, quote, "I don't want to move. I don't want to be gentrified. That's why I'm trying to help the college people keep their jobs. Because it's not right. We got the right to strike. We got the right to protest," unquote. She continued exclaiming, quote, "We have to stick together because for the powers that be, everything is money, and so they win with the money, but we win with our voices. So we're shutting it down," unquote. Members of the Teamsters Local 804 showed out in solidarity, bringing a Fat Cat inflatable, which one picketer said represented the university's multi-millionaire president, Lee Bollinger. "It's ridiculous what Columbia University is doing to its workers," said Josh Pomerantz, the director of operations of the Teamsters Local 804. "And all of these folks deserve to be able to earn what they put in. So we're happy and proud to be here with them, and we're inspired by their bravery here. The graduate student workers are fighting for a contract that guarantees them fair wages, dental insurance, and a right to third-party arbitration in cases of harassment and discrimination.
Close to our international partners, the People's Dispatch for international stories. Up next is sports news.
African Center for Capacity Building, AFCAP, organizes the following executive and advanced certificate programs like Executive Certificate in Project Management, Executive Certificate in Human Resource Management, Executive Certificate in Real Estate and Property Management, Executive Certificate in Data and Records Keeping, Executive Certificate in Monitoring and Evaluation, Executive Certificate in Logistics and Transport Management, Executive Certificate in CCTV Monitoring and Installation. AFCAP, where capacity building is our priority. For registration and enquiries, please call 0244 405047, 0242135523. We have our branches in Accra, Tamale, Kumasi, and Wa. Saturdays and weekdays sessions are available. Admission is still in progress. Enroll now. Join the African professionals. AFCAP, where capacity building is our priority.
Now let's do sports. There will be no action from Accra Hearts of Oak and Asante Kotoko in the Ghana Premier League this weekend. Now the two most glamorous clubs were scheduled to 2022 season, but the game has been postponed by the Ghana FA.
However, with the Ghana Premier League expected to continue with match day 7 games, King Faisal will welcome Elmina Sharks to the Baba Yara Stadium. King Faisal are seeking to continue with the brilliant performance against Asante Kotoko after reigning the unbeaten run. 11 Wonders will be looking to claim their second win of the season when they take on Dreams FC at the Ohene Ameya Park today. Wonders have had a dreadful start this campaign, having gone winners in the first 4 matches, where they lost twice and drew 1. Dreams would hope to triumph and would be counting on that luck for another win this time. Bibiani Gold Star into the tournament. The local organizing committee of the AFCON are expected to request for a special dispensation to get funds to the stadium with COVID protocols being observed. But they will first need clearance from the Confederation of African Football and the government of Cameroon. The last time the AFCON took place was in Egypt in 2019, where 102 goals were recorded after 52 games played throughout the tournament. Next year's competition will kick off from January 9th and run through to February 6, 2022. With the countdown now underway, the world waits for the stars to deliver magic on Cameroonian soil.
Well, that's all for sports. Show business is next. Notable Ghanaian filmmaker called Pencil Ansa has charged his fellow filmmakers in Africa to use their tools in exposing the dehumanization of African women by Europeans. He disclosed this at the launch of a new brand name for the Ghana film industry here in Accra.
Leave a child for 9 months, labor to bring that child into this world, and I hate her so much I want to eat him or her up. It's painful. You know, some of the men of God today, our dear mothers, have become so vulnerable. And some of us who have come by this tool called the film tool is using the same language and visuals to confirm what the Europeans have done about us through the movies, even to hate ourselves. We see nothing has been used to make us hate ourselves than the audiovisual media. When the challenge of menopause comes in, the least challenge our mothers have, they have to be drawn into the witches' camp. Why can't we use the film tool to create wizard's camp? To create a balance in our society. Unfortunately, and we get up in churches and applaud these wicked and thievery pastors who are using our women for their own richness. I mean, where are we? Filmmakers, rise. we should not be stupid. We see things. Who is a man of God? Who is a man of God who attacks our mother and calls her a witch? And when she's put before cameras in the churches, you see muscled men running to restrain the witch. I hope that woman is paid enough money as an artist.
Appreciating the fact that the Ghana film industry has over the years had affectionate titles bestowed on it by people who love to attribute the sector by what they understand. Knowing what a good brand name can have on Ghana and indeed the African continent, the National Film Authority spearheaded an event to announce a brand name for the Ghana film industry last night in Accra. The authority received close to 400 names by some Ghanaians, which was later shortlisted to 10 and subjected to voting by the public. Speaking at the launch, Executive Director of Chartered Institute of Marketing, Kwabna Ajekum, commented on the need for a new brand name for the industry.
Branding indeed drives sponsorship and to a large extent investment, because your brand is your outlook. It will either draw your followership or lead you to being avoided by many. Like the old Mazin says, dress like you want to be addressed. Branding is the dress your corporate image wears. Arise, Ghana, people, for your film industry. Every turn take, and rather than hurry, should we say hurried, must be involved.
Executive Secretary for the National Film Authority, Julietia Asantua Asante, called on the general public to accept the new name, Black Star Film, and patronize Made in Ghana movies.
We use the opportunity to call on all Ghanaians to patronize and, where possible, invest in the film sector. We have beautiful stories to tell of our history and the future as we see it. Film is an important vehicle to help tackle many of the social challenges we have, to educate our people and to help reset or set mindsets, whichever way you look at it. Film brings important soft power, and it is our hope that softly but surely we will demonstrate to the world the power of Ghanaian storytelling and Ghanaian stories.
Well, that's how we wrap up on today's episode of Pan African News. This news was broadcast live from our studios here, 48 Tuanica Street, Abelimpio, Accra, Ghana. Join us this evening, 6:30 p.m. on Newsbreak for more news updates. Now, you can follow us on all social media platforms, on Facebook at Pan African Television, on Instagram at Pan African Television, and on Twitter at Pan African Television. My name is Ivy Abnad. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.